This is the introduction to home buying, and it's designed for a new home buyer or a buyer that's just entering the market and has had a house in the past and want to review what needs to be done to purchase a house under the new guidelines. I'm Jim Carter, a loan officer with Element Funding, and this is my contact information, including my email address, my blog. So take a look at the blog. That's got lots of information on it, and we'll go on to the next slide now. This is the agenda we're going to talk about today. It's 5 points and should be pretty quick. Again, any questions you might have, just give me a call and we'll go over it. The process overview is what it takes to get pre-qualified. How much can you afford and how much do you want to pay? We're also going to learn about home buying programs and determining a loan type. The other items, selecting a realtor, an attorney, shopping for a home, all those items are things that happen after you actually get started on the program. This particular slide I can send it to you separately. It gives you an overview, and in fact I give it to most people when we start talking. It gives you an overview of what you're supposed to do. On the key in the top left hand side, it talks about what the homeowner has to do is the maroon. What the agent does is green, and what I do is blue. So you can see you have a lot of work to do as well when you're buying this new home. So keeping that in mind, on the lower right hand side is the application checklist of the items we're going to ask you for. Now these are important. Renting versus buying. When you rent, just keep in mind you're paying someone else's mortgage. When you buy, you have these 7 advantages that help you on your tax return to either keep more of the money you've made or perhaps get some money back at the end of the year. As always on these items, consult your tax professional and your financial planner to decide your best solution. The different loan types, the main ones we'll talk about are here. The FHA loan is a loan that gives you 3.5% down payment. And we also have, not only with FHA loan, but with the conventional loan, some of these first-time homebuyer programs that gives you up to $4,500 or 7%, whichever's lower, to help with down payment assistance. We have another program, that's the Florida Bond program, that gives up to $10,000 in a second mortgage. And finally, we have a loan that will let you rehab a property, and we can talk about that if you get into it. The veterans loan is for anyone that's a veteran, gives special financing for a veteran. And then the conventional loan is basically funding guidelines that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have. The final point on the jumbo loans here is these are loans in amounts exceeding the national guidelines of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, which in South Florida are about $417,000. So anything over that would be considered a jumbo, and we'd look at those guidelines per each person's specific requirements. As we go through the process, we've talked about pre-qualifying. Now the pre-qualifying requires you to bring all these documents that we asked for. The different scores allow to determine which program you're going to get into. The underwriting and closing process are the final steps when we are approaching the time to actually get a loan closed and your house purchased. Just as an aside, there's many people involved in this loan process, and so just to give you an idea of what takes place and what negotiations we have to do, here's what happens sometimes on the appraisal. This is what the seller would view their house as. Then when the buyer comes along, you would say, that's not as good as I thought, and that's your view of the house. When the lender starts looking at the house, they might even see it a little bit differently than either buyer or seller. The appraiser, of course, might see it completely different than the buyer or seller and the lender. And generally the county tax assessor sees it a little bit differently from all the previous people. So as I said, there's a lot of people involved, and this makes a decision also regarding the insurance, because if the insurance company needs to see documents to prove how well the house is protected, so they can determine what kind of insurance to provide and what that insurance is going to cost. Finally, I've got another whole slide on the different specific aspects of qualifying, and this is on my blog that you could go look at to review each one of these areas in detail, whether it be capital, your assets, your income, your liabilities, or what property should look like. You can view each one of these on that matrix. So that's the end of this presentation. If you got any questions, give me a call, and there is my number. Thanks very much.